When my daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, there were a lot of things that I didn't think she would be able to enjoy for quite a while, pecan pie being one of them. But thanks to my keto recipes, that is no longer the case. So come bake with me. To start out, we are going to do the crust. You will need 1.5 cups of almond flour, 3 tablespoons of monk fruit powder or liquid, 1/4 cup melted butter, 1 egg, and a pinch of salt. So to start off, let's go ahead and add our almond flour in. And then add your powdered monk fruit if you're using powdered. I prefer to work with powder. And the melted butter. Go ahead and put in your egg. And your little pinch of salt. And then go ahead and start just whisking that all together. And my pie dish is in storage, so I will be using a 24 centimeter tart pan, but this recipe also works for just a regular 9-inch pie dish. So go ahead and transfer everything from your bowl once you have it mixed up into your pie or tart pan, whatever you like. And I started to try to spread this around with my fork. It was kind of working, not very well. As you can see, I quickly moved to my hands. If you have a spatula though, that could probably work very well in place of this if you don't want to get your hands greasy from the melted butter. Just make sure you pat it all around, and I just started by making sure the whole bottom was covered. I've got some helpers that are eager to help there. Make sure the bottom portion of your pie dish or your tart pan is completely covered before you start pushing it up into the walls. And I have these fluted walls on this tart pan, so that was a little fun. But I let my little helpers help me out a little bit there at the end. Couldn't do it without them. They're always such good helpers. Now let's move on to the filling. You will need 3 large eggs, 2/3 cup of monk fruit, 1/2 cup of melted butter that's also kind of cooled down just slightly, 1/4 cup of heavy cream, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, as well as some pecan halves. I used 2 cups for this recipe, but we like a lot of pecans. So start off with your monk fruit and then add in your eggs. Make sure you get it nice and mixed, and it always helps if you have a little 8-year-old helper. They're just the best. Who needs a KitchenAid when you have kids, right? Alright, so get it all nice and mixed up. Get all the clumps of monk fruit powder squished out if you're using powder. And once all of that is mixed in, then you will add in your melted butter. Kind of stir that in. And then go ahead and add your heavy cream. And it definitely works to have a spoon or a spatula at this point to help scrape out your bowl. Like so. Then add in your vanilla extract. As well as your pinch of salt, or 1/4 teaspoon salt. And I like to have in my pecan pie pecans in the actual pie, not just on top as a topping. So I mixed in probably about between a cup and a cup and a half of these pecans, and then I saved the rest for topping. But again, we love pecans, so having a cup and a half total and just putting like a cup in and then saving a half for the topping, perfect. All right, so you will take your filling and obviously pour it in. This is a magical moment, so I thought I'd slow it down for a second. All right, once it's in, it'll be pretty jiggly, which is what you want. And to make baking easier, just put it on a baking dish or pan like that. Now let's get started on this whipped cream. You'll need 1 cup of heavy cream, 2 to 3 tablespoons of monk fruit powder, 1 teaspoon or so of vanilla extract, just a pinch of salt. And the salt is optional, but it does help bring out the flavor even more of that vanilla. All right, once all of your ingredients are added, you can either whip this by hand, if you're crazy. You can use a hand mixer like I'm about to do, or a stand mixer. I prefer a stand mixer, but my KitchenAid is in storage, so I had to settle for this. But you're going to start off on low speed and just kind of go around mixing it up. And you will gradually increase over the next 4 to 6 minutes or so. Now it will thicken up even more when you let it sit, and especially when you let it sit in the refrigerator. Here it is after it's sat in the refrigerator for maybe 30 minutes. I had to test it on a strawberry. It was perfect. And this was the pie when it came out. Absolutely beautiful color, amazing smell. Just incredible. The crust was also one of the best crusts I've ever had. And honestly, a crust can make or break a pie. You see how thick the custard filling turned out to be. And here it is. And again, it was an absolute hit with both of my kiddos. And my daughter with diabetes, I bolused her for the total carb count, and she did not have a spike. She stayed stable. Thank you so much for watching this video. especially if you've made it to the end right now. It really meant a lot for me to be able to make both of my babies pecan pie that they both loved and didn't put one of them into DKA. So pluses all around. I hope you make it as well, and I hope you love it just as much as we do. So thank you again. Bye-bye.